Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review.
We all carry our problem, and we barely have the strength to keep going on.
Okay, gents, it is album review time once again. And for this review, Duncan Kyle and myself have been checking out the new album from Swiss melancholic metalers Impure Wilhelmina. The band's new album Antidote will be released on May 21st via Season of Mist Records.
Funded by Nazi Gold. Small and Swiss joke. It's that or Toblerones. It's one of the two.
Okay. Okay.
So it's all you can do. Or skiing, maybe. I don't know. It's one of the three.
Yep. Okay.
I just
We'll
want to
use
say
the other
that
two later on.
It's a really neutral album.
Yep. The opinions expressed by Duncan on this podcast do not represent Metal Epidemic. Dave wants me to say this right now.
Disclaimer. These guys have been active since around 1996.
Oh, holy fuck.
And,
right.
Yes, and Antidote will be the band's 7th full-length album.
Jesus.
Yeah, which comes 4 years after the release of Radiation in 2017. The album was recorded at HOFA-Studios, mixed by Ivan Bing and mastered by Ladislav Agabekov.
Well done, man. Nailing it tonight.
Thank you. Impure Wilhelmina, it's one of those bands that I've heard of and I've read about in numerous magazines and websites, but I'm fairly sure I'd never actually listened to them prior to this review. And I don't really know why, to be honest, because on first listen to this, I was a bit like, this band has so many key elements that would normally make me super interested to check them out.
Yeah.
So I apologise in advance for not listening to you sooner. Bad Dave. They certainly sound like a band that have been honing their craft over the years. I wasn't surprised when I read that they've been on the go since '96. I could tell from this album that they have meticulously put together this release, and their mix of styles and textures on this album are really well blended, and nothing seems out of place. And style-wise, this is pretty varied. You have kind of elements of post-metal, you've got some sludge in there, some post-punk, a little bit of doom, even some kind of post-rock influences coming in as well. But it's all kind of infused in this like kind of pot of melancholy. It's one of those albums that kind of hit me straight away though. As soon as I put it on, like the first track, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, what is this? This is really cool. And even though the vocals don't make an appearance on the first track for like 3 minutes, something like that, I was still totally kind of sucked in by the rhythm of the track and the choice of chords and lead work. I was getting little kind of elements of the ocean on that kind of first few minutes. So that's probably why I was kind of instantly kind of connected to it. But as an opener, it nicely sets up the rest of the album. And then it comes in with track two, which is Midlife Hollow, and it absolutely kind of knocks it out the park. At first I was getting like this, almost like a post-punk Mastodon from the intro riff on that second track. Like, it has those kind of staccato type rhythms that they use, but it's way more atmospheric. And it continues to keep that kind of melancholic post-punk type vibe throughout the track, but they throw in fucking blast beats and some like really kind of blackened lead work as well. It kind of just simmers away in the background. The vocal melodies though, this is where this track and this album really just excels. The choice of melody is just so fucking infectious on this album. I was hooked on it on the first listen to this. I didn't need repeat listens to get this into my head at all. It was just something that struck me straight away, and it's something that Impure Wilhelmina do really well. There are a bunch of really tremendous vocal moments on this album. Michael Schindel, I think his name is, has a really like captivating vocal tone that just sucks you in. Very kind of similar to, in a similar way to Jonas from Katatonia. Tracks like Gravel or Dismantling, it actually reminded me of kind of like early Katatonia, like kind of 2000s Katatonia. And for the most part, those tracks are very gloomy musically, lots of dark chords and kind of blackened atmospheric lead work, but vocally, when he hits those choruses, you can't help but feel the kind of shift in tone to something more uplifting. Feel very anthemic in a way, actually. I loved that there are a track right in the middle of the album called Jasmines, and I loved the placement of that. It's a very kind of minimalist type track. It's kind of dripping in reverb and a lot of clean tones, which kind of gives that kind of feeling of respite in the middle of the album. Vocally, stylistically, it felt a wee bit new wave to me, actually. And that was the first time I kind of noticed it on that track, but once I heard it, like, I couldn't not hear it anymore. I was hearing it on another track, so I was kind of picturing like almost like not as kind of stylized as or characteristic as like Morrissey, like he's got a particular tone to him, but it was similar, or Clive Farrington from When in Rome, that type of vocal. But I really liked it though. I really liked the style and the tone. And as I said, once I heard it, I couldn't not hear it on the rest of the album. Tracks like Vicious, which again play more into the kind of post-punk vibes on the verses, but the chorus again has that kind of anthemic feel about it, which you can't help but be completely hooked by. Even towards the end of the album, the tracks get a little bit murkier. Torrent and Unpredicted Sky, which maybe aren't as like grand as some of the others, but they still kind of left an impression on me because the songwriting is so good. They still managed to somehow get under your skin, whether it's the atmosphere of the track or for me the kind of blackened streak on Unpredicted Sky really stood out. This was a really rewarding listen for me, even like clocking in over 50 minutes. I didn't have an issue with the length of this at all. It didn't drag in any way. I think these guys do a fantastic job at blending all the styles without it becoming like a kind of jumbled mess. The styles are very subtly fused together. Never feels like they're kind of like taping styles together. It all flows really well. And sometimes bands that have a very like gloomy, melancholic sound become quite repetitive, especially on albums over 50 minutes long. But these guys make sure that they don't just regurgitate the same like formula over and over again. Each track feels different. They mix it up enough that it doesn't feel like the songs are just merging together. I was really impressed with this. It'll definitely make me go back and check out the other 6 albums from their back catalogue, which I didn't know about. But as a first listen to this band, heavily impressed with this album. Really enjoyed it. Duncan, what did you make of Impure Wilhelmina and Antidote?
So once again, peek behind the curtain for the listeners to the inner workings, inner sanctum of Metal Epidemic and where the decisions are made. Dave sent us a video, like Dave said. He sent us a video to, I think it's Gravel, I think it's track 3 he sent us a video to. And the video came through, and it was like kind of, we knew we were going to be doing Cannibal. Keep wanting to say Cannibal Holocaust tonight. For fucking Cannibal Corpse. I've got like, honestly, my brain's ruined. Cannibal Ferox. We knew we were doing that, but we needed one more album. And there's loads to choose from. And Dave likes to, sometimes he likes to put the foot down and say, this is what we're doing, guys. Other times he likes to say, what are you thinking of this? He doesn't give anything away because he's a bastard. So he'll send something and he'll say, this is just coming, what do you guys think of this? Right? I imagine that's how he types it as well, but with a smile, because he knows he likes it. And he sent it through, and I think I got back to you as soon as the vocals kicked in on the track, and I was like that. Oh, this guy's vocal tone, 100%. Like, without even listening to the rest of the song, I was like, I want to review this. It sounds different from the stuff we're doing, and that excites me. So, coming to this album, I had that in the back of my head. I knew what his tone was. I was interested to hear what the rest of the album would sound like, and I wasn't quite prepared for the twists and turns the album actually takes. I think you're right in saying that it is a bit of a journey, so they are mixing a lot in here, and there are huge swaths of kind of post-punk and post-metal in here. It has a very unique sounding voice. It did remind me, interestingly enough, you're mentioning like kind of Morrissey, not as in sounding but kind of as in feel. And what it reminded me, and I said it to you before we started, was a kind of mid-range Davey Havok from AFI. Like, it's a kind of mid-range version of his vocal, and what a glorious vocal it is. I think I felt every word he sang. Like everything feels like there's real meaning behind it and real purpose. And I'll back up 100% with you. Every chorus on this album is memorable. So, and that kind of blew me away, because you don't expect that. You expect the like on albums that you expect that this is the heavy track and it's all heavy and this separates the album. They don't have that. They do have tracks that are heavier than other tracks or components that are heavier, but they don't have any bit where they're that, well, no singing vocals on this one, guys, unless it's an instrumental. And the balls on a band to have their title track be an instrumental and also being the softest track on the album is kind of amazing, because it's kind of playing with the word. This is the antidote to the gloom that you've been listening to on this album. It's a very kind of happy, composed instrumental track. And it comes
I wasn't sure whether the album title was to do with what's just happened in the world over the last year and a bit.
It
was to do with COVID or
it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, there's part of it that does kind of feel a bit almost like conceptual in terms of the way it's structured, so it wouldn't surprise me. But the kind of antidote side of things is that idea of relief, is that, and then you go everything is vain in the last track. Kind of, it takes you on a bit of a journey. It's one of the weirder tracks on the album, but I loved it. There's literally not a moment on this I disliked. I think it is incredibly well written. I think the musicality is really well done. I think the styles they use, you were talking about taped on, the word I use when I describe bands like that is organic. It sounds like an organically written, a really earthy sounding album. There's real craft, real time being spent in to make the songs feel complete. So not as in, that'll do, it's 4 minutes, right guys, let's clock out, and we need one more riff, we'll just fling this riff we wrote a year ago on the end. All this feels like it's been crafted in the spirit of making the best song. And I appreciate the craft of really good songwriting. I also appreciate the craft of really good melody and choruses on albums, and this album has all of that. The production, like you mentioned before, is pinpoint perfect for this. You get everything you need when it needs to hit you with that kind of gloom and melody. It hits you in a way where you feel it. When the album lifts its tone, you feel it, and I think that's really important. Otherwise, this band kind of doesn't have the impact that it needs to have. I have never heard of them before, so unlike you, where you're like, I know that I like in my head mentally, because I don't write anything down, mentally in my notes, where as an upcoming band, this this band's got a long future with their first album, because I've never heard of them before, and I think that might be the case for a lot of people out there. I follow publications like everyone else. I'm not aware of this band getting touted at all, and that kind of makes me excited, because I kind of feel like if this is them finally cracking a bit of leeway into audiences like myself, I know tons of people that would listen to this. There's an inbuilt audience of people that just don't know who this band is yet that'll love it, and there's an inbuilt audience of people that have probably been with this band since day one that are like, I told you so. And I'm there with you. So I think this is a incredible album, and this is one that I've listened to many times. This is a repeat listen this year for me. We mentioned it already. The ones that I keep banging on about are the ones where I'm like, at the end of the year, I can't imagine I'm going to have listened to many bands that sound like this. Katatonia is a really good reference point for the kind of like older, specifically older not like new school Katatonia, older Katatonia. But they're just mixing a lot of really cool elements. The blackened stuff is used exactly like it's supposed to be used. Little dips just to add and accentuate what they're doing. But this is, when I talk about albums painting pictures, this is a painting pictures album. I can, when I'm listening to it, I can visualise scenes and colours like from the music. And not a lot of bands get that from me, but this is one here. I think it's fucking great. So well played for sending that video. Well played to the band for doing what they've done. And I am super curious. The one person on this recording that I didn't have a steer on at all, because me and Dave kind of roughly didn't give much away, but I knew you liked it. Kyle didn't even answer your message, I think, when you posted it. So Kyle's the one laughing now. Go for it. No. That's good. I didn't know where you were coming in. The floor is yours, Dream Killer.
Dream Killer. I can talk all day and all night and all month, all week, all year about drum samples, but there's none on this one. None. So it's got 1 star out of 5 already, just for that. So let's get the monster out of the bush already, shall we? So, in any case, Yeah, man, this album is a journey. It's like, it's really long, but it doesn't feel like it when you listen to it.
No.
You can just sort of, you know what? I've lost all my notes for it because my tablet decided it didn't want to save it, so I'm just kind of winging it. But I actually, when I was listening,
three pages of stank face for the other album.
I know, right? I usually have 1 or 2 pages for each album I do, but for this one, I didn't get to writing anything until like track 3 because I was just enjoying it so much.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh wow, usually I was come in and be like, oh yeah, sounds good, have a couple of things mentioned down, like a good guitar tone, something like this. But this, it was just like, whoa, the vocals didn't come in for so long on the first track. I think that even if it was the first track, maybe they come in track 2, I'm not sure because I didn't look because I was just enjoying it so much. I was like, that's amazing. I was like, is this an instrumental band? No, it can't be. They've been going for 25 years. No instrumental band on the face of the earth has been around for 25 years. So, but then it came in and it was like, yeah, these guys are good. And I'd never heard of them either. Not once. Like, not even an inkling. You sent me the thing and I was like, just like Duncan, these guys have got a long, storied future ahead of them.
Who are these
and also
young
behind
cunts?
them, it turns out, yeah. But they sound like they know exactly. I mean, I read the thing and I think they used to be a lot heavier, but all that heaviness is still there. It's not buried under anything. It hasn't been abandoned. It's just fused so expertly with other elements of other things that they clearly love. I'm like, half of this sounds like, a punk band from, the early 90s, and half of it sounds like Led Zeppelin. And they both had a baby, and they like black metal too. And this is what you get. It's really, really good. It takes you on some strange journeys as well. And like you said before, none of it's, sounds taped on or just slammed together. It's all really expertly fused together. All of their influences, you can almost hear them all the time in like just little bits in the leads and little bits of the rhythms and the drum tone and all this stuff and little fills here. It's like, oh, that's a rock and roll bit. And that's, that's a bit of a black metal twinge there, but it goes together so well. They know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. And like you said, the vocalist, really good voice, a very unique sounding voice. It's not something I'd like. When he first came in singing, I was like, actually, it's really good. But then he can do the growling as well. What's the last song? Unpredicted Sky. It's not the last song, sorry. I just feel like it because it's 7 minutes long. But it doesn't feel like it. It just, because I know there was like some in track 4, there was a bit of screaming, but I think I was listening so much to the music, I don't think I actually registered that he was screaming because there's a lot of stuff going on. And it's not overwhelming, but it's just a lot. Yeah. And it needs a few listens to get used to get through it all and to like take it all in. So the first time I like really heard him screaming was on Unpredicted Sky, and I was like, this song is amazing. Just started doing it. This suits the music so well, which is really hard to do. Like bands like Opeth used to do the screamy thing. Yeah. They've since moved on from that, but I always felt it was a bit like shoehorned in a little bit with Opeth because they do like the calm bit and then they have this thing and then they do the heavy bit and then they go on and do the calm bit again and all this. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but that's how it felt to me when I listened to them. And I love Opeth. They're great. Michael Ockerfeldt is an incredible songwriter. He's like, and vocalist and everything, but with this it all flows so much better. It really does. They go for the calm intro with the, almost acoustic clean guitar, and they build it up and things come in, and he starts screaming, and it's like, it feels natural. It doesn't feel like it's like, are you really doing a screamy bit here? It feels completely in its place, and I really love that about this band. And they clearly know their way around their instruments all the way up and down the neck, the fretboard, the drums, everything. And the dude's range is really good. I mean, he doesn't have like a super wide range, but what he does use is expertly used, and the lyrical content is really, really, really nice as well because they sent lyrics over. They did. So I read through those. I was like, oh, you got something to say. Yeah. And I'm surprised I never heard of them. I wonder if it's because they're Swiss. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they're really famous in Switzerland.
I think you're right about the lyrics, though. It does kind of help with that whole journey of the album. You can kind of see where it's going when you're reading the lyrics and listening to the album. I found it a very kind of immersive album. Like, you just kind of get lost in it a lot of the time. But so
I know,
well
I
done.
literally did on the first listen. I put the headphones on and I was like, just lost for the first 3 tracks. And I was like, shit, I should write something down. And then my tablet went, nah, you don't need that. So cool.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed this one. What are we thinking rating wise on this? This is a high scorer for me, I think. When I was listening to it the first couple of times, I was sitting probably at about a 4, but I have listened to it more since then. I'm probably at 4.5 now, actually, I think. Yeah, I'll be happy with that. 4.5 out of 5 for me on this one. Duncan?
I get a sneaky suspicion we are all going to unite like Voltron for this one as well. 4.5 for me. And to be honest, I have no real justification for why I'm not giving that extra 0.5, but I've given a 5 out on this show already to Cannibal Corpse, not Cannibal Holocaust. And I do think that album is the very definition of a 5-star album, and I don't know what's missing here. I can't justify my lack of a 0.5 for why this isn't a 5-star album. But I'm going to go with 4.5 as well.
Okay, perfect. And Kyle?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 4.5 as well. That was what I remember writing that down on the tablet, and then it deleted it. It tried to trick me into
Replaced
the 5.
it with a stank face.
Yeah, probably did. I think that's why I'm not giving it a 0.5 extra, is because I didn't get that many stank face moments. I had a few, but I mean, this is an amazing album. You have to listen to it, and you have to listen to it a lot. It's like a driving album. If you're on a long road trip, put this on. In fact, it's just whatever you're doing, just put it on. It's really good.
This has been listened to at night when I can't sleep, and it's just as good as any fucking that Cam app that they're always fucking going on about. For if you got insomnia, download the Cam app and hear famous people talk to you. Oh great, can't wait to have Stephen Fry in my ear again. But no, I'd like fuck that. Get this on.
Do they have Carrot Top?
I think that does the opposite. I don't know if that makes you go to sleep, other than stare into the abyss and watch the abyss stare back at you with its Carrot Top.
Nothing knocks me out like Carrot Top, because I just do not want to fucking listen to him again, you know? It's like, you want me to go to sleep? Alright.
It's an incredible nighttime album. This is like
Yes.
lights off in the room, headphones, like good quality headphones in, switch the album on, and immersive and captivating is probably the words that I think best describe it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really fucking good. Really good.
Yeah. This one drops on May 21st on Season of Mist Records.
Way ahead of the curve.
If you want to check the guys out, it's facebook.com/Impure Wilhelmina. And definitely do check this out. There's been a couple of singles released already, so check those ones out. See what you think, and then definitely give the album a listen when it drops in May. It's a fantastic release, fantastic listen.
Wanna go